Okay, another video in a series on how to use the Emachineshop D2 and C and how I work it all into making the G code for Mach 3. What I'm going to do is actually jump right into drawing, and then you'll be able to see me use the different functions and features of the software. A few things to note. On the left side over here is all the drawing tools. On the top row, if you look up here, there's the different functions to make changes to lines, intersect them, to do corners. There's other tools and stuff up in the top. As I move along, I'm just going to use these. There's a lot of tools and a lot of things you can do, but to explain each one individually would be actually probably more confusing than necessary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a x-axis stepper motor mount for CNC converting a ZX45 mill, and I've just went over and made a few measurements on the actual x-axis table. I've got some measurements for the thrust bearing that mounts to this bracket we're going to make, and then I've also got a drawing of a NEMA 34 stepper mount. So I'm going to make all three of these drawings and then show you how you can place each one of these drawings on together to actually line up all your bolt holes, line up your shaft holes, how to make everything intersect and line up so you end up with the total mount with the standoffs to plate the bolts to the end of the table and the NEMA 34 motor. I'm going to start out with the bracket that fits on the end of the table that the actual thrust bearing bolts to. Its overall height and overall width is 5 by 2.75, so I'm just going to draw a square box so that this is the area that I'm actually working in. So I just drop a box on the screen and I'll go up to the top and you can see its width is 5 and I'll hit enter. And its overall height is 2.75 and I'll hit enter. And that is just the working area of this box. Now, the hole that the shaft for the ball screw is actually centered with the table and is 2 inches down from the actual top of the table surface. So I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to select my line tool here. If you look, you'll see the center snaps as soon as I bring the line tool into the area. That's the blue box. I'll draw the line straight down. I don't care how long it is. I'll just put it on the screen to start with. And up here at the top, you'll see degrees. I didn't draw the line straight, so I need to correct that to 270. And then I want to click on the total length because it's 2 inches down and make it 2.0. I could have just put 2. That is going to locate the center hole for the ball screw. So on that I want to place a circle at the end of the line. The ball screw is 16 millimeters, that's about 5/8. I like to make the hole big enough the screw itself goes through. So I'll make the hole 3/4 inch. It'll snap to the center here. Once again, holding down my left mouse button and expanding it, I'm just going to drop a circle on there. Then up at the top here in this box, I can type in 0.750 for my 3/4 inch circle. So that's located where the actual, this is the part fitting on the table, and also where the actual ball screw is going to come through the bracket mount. So now I no longer need the line that I used to locate this center, so I'll delete it out of here. This mount is not this wide on the bottom because where the actual X table has to clear the dovetail so it slides through the y-axis. So the width of the bottom of this is actually 2.5 inches, and this side box only comes down 2. So what I can do is I can draw a box 5 by 2. I'll just draw the box on the screen and make it 5 by 2. I use boxes and circles a lot as alignment tools. It's a lot easier than trying to draw each individual line. Whoop, I'm going to select this box. That's when it turns red. I have my select tool. And I'm going to line it up, and it dropped in and centered up on here. Okay, this bottom section, the dovetails are in here and in here, so I have to be able to clear them. So that bottom section is a box 2.5 inches wide. So I'm just going to draw a box that I'm sure is taller than what I need. I'll draw it here, and I'm going to say it's 2.5 inches wide, 2.5, and click enter. Okay, now I can take this box and drag it down to the bottom of the screen, and it will snap to intersect there. Now I have the basic shapes of what this is going to be. Of course, it looks a little funny. I'm going to take and click on the outside box I drew originally and delete it now. I'm going to hold down my left mouse button, making sure that I'm outside the area of this box, and select everything. That'll highlight all the lines. Then, holding down my control key, I'm going to deselect this circle so that it's not part of what I'm selecting. Up at the top of the screen, I'm going to click on Line, and I'm going to tell it all the lines that I've got highlighted in red right now to intersect them. So normally if I would click on this square or this square, it would highlight the whole square. Now it's broke this all into individual sections, and I can pick each section as I need to delete it. To make the shape I want, I need to delete some lines, so I'll take these out, and you can see the shape start to form. Now I have the actual shape of the bracket as it mounts on the table. I have the clearance for both the dovetails on the bottom. My hole centered for my ball screw. I have 2 bolt holes that are 1 inch down on the table, and they're 4 inches apart. So to locate them, I'm going to draw a box 1 inch by 4. It's 4 inches long by 1 inch. And there's that box. Okay, now I'm going to take it and locate it up here at the top. There's 2 3/8 bolt holes, bolts that actually hold this to the table. So I'm going to draw 2 circles, just whatever. I'm going to draw 1 and type in, let's just make it 0.4 because we need a little room for alignment when we actually mount this to get everything centered up. So I'm going to click 0.4 and make the bolt. Okay, now that that's highlighted, I want 2 of these. So by hitting Control D, Control key down, and hitting the letter D, I can duplicate it. It's hard to see, but it actually created 1 more bolt hole for me. I move this into location, and these are the 2 bolts that actually bolt this plate to the end of the table. I no longer need this square, so I can delete it. Alright, now I have the basic shape, but there's a bearing block that will bolt onto this plate. So what I want to do is, this bearing block, I use it on almost every one of the mill bills I do. So I have the drawing somewhere, but instead of looking up the drawing, I'm going to draw the actual block. I don't make the block, but by having the drawing of the block, it's easier to select that drawing and pull out the bolt hole pattern and drop it on something else when you're making parts that have to line up with each other. So first off, I'm going to save this file, and I'm going to save it as x-axis mount, and I'll just go ahead and save it. Then I'm going to start a new file, and I'm going to take a blank design, say OK. This little bearing block is 2.3 by 1.7, so I'll draw its overall box. Pick my box again, 2.3 by 1.7. So 2.3 1.3 by 1.7. Okay. Um, the bottom of the block is similar. It has these two corners cut out. They're cut out. Uh, the bottom section is 1.360 by 0.2. So we're going to draw another block, and it's 1.360, and that's 0.2 tall. Hit enter for that. All right. Going to drop that down here. Okay. Right here, I need to take out these two corners, and the easiest way to do this is really to just grab and draw a line from the center out, grab and draw another line over here from the center out. While that line's selected, make sure it's straight. Make it 360. I'll pick the other one. Make it 180. Okay, so now that my lines are both straight, I can take and do what I did before. I can either hold down my left mouse button and scroll and select everything, or I can just come up to Edit and say Select All. So that's going to highlight all these lines. Then I can take and click Line Intersect. So it's going to break these all up again. There's something to remember here. In this section right here, I have double lines. So you won't see them, but there's something that when you put a line over a line, you have to remember that you only want one line in your drawing. You don't want lines on top of lines. So if that's the case, you got to come in and delete them. Say, for instance, if I delete this line, well, there should have been still a line underneath there. It picked up on it and took them both. Sometimes it won't. We're going to go ahead and delete the pieces we don't need now so that I have the basic shape of my block, my bearing block. And there it is. Okay, the hole that's in the center of this block that holds the bearing is 1 inch. The bottom of that hole is 0.2 up from the bottom of this bearing. So 0.7 would be the center of that hole. So I'll draw a line from the bottom coming straight up, making sure that I come back here and tell it it's 90 degrees angle and that it's 0.7 long from the original point of origin, and stop and just go ahead and click on the screen so it drops that line there. Now I want to draw the 1 inch hole, 1 inch circle, I'm sorry. Draw the 1 inch circle. That's where the bearing's located that goes through it. So we're just going to put a 1 there and hit enter. There's 4 bolts that bolt this block into position. These 4 bolts, the bottom 2 bolt holes, are lined up crossways with the center of this circle. The bolt hole pattern is 1.8 wide by 0.775 tall. So we'll draw another box. Doesn't matter where. It's 1.8 wide by 0.775 tall. Okay, and as I said, the bottom bolt holes line up with the center of this circle. So as you see, as I move it into place, whoops, I kind of wiggled there as I dropped it. Now when I drop that, it'll line up where the corners of these bolt holes are in relationship to that center shaft for the ball screw and the bearing. So this box is now in location, and there's 4 1/4 inch bolts that go through this. So we'll just draw 4 holes. I'm not worried about the bolt hole clearances and stuff like that. It's more the locations that I'm looking for. I drill my bolt holes. I don't. It takes too long for the CNC to step drill or whatever. If you're in production doing it and not a one-off part, well then, yeah, I would do a bunch of them. But okay, we're just going to say this bolt hole's a 1/4 inch, 250. Then while it's still selected, I need 4 of them, so I'll hold down the control key and hit D 3 more times. That gave me a total of 4 circles. I can drop this into place on each corner, so I'm lining up the mounting bolt holes. Oop. Have the shaky guy do it. Okay, we have the basic design of this bearing block. Let's delete off all the lines that we don't need. I don't need this block anymore, and I no longer need this line. But this is what the thrust bearing block looks like. So we're going to go ahead and save this, and we're going to save it as thrust bearing block. So I'll save it. Okay, now while this is on the screen, I need these 4 bolt holes drilled into the previous plate I made. So what I want to do to be able to line this up where this bearing block is going to fit on the part I already drew, I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to select the 4 bolt holes. And this center circle. Okay, I don't really need the circle since I do know that this bolt hole pattern lines up with this center point of this circle. But while it's selected, I'll go ahead and try it this way. Sometimes it might give you trouble trying to line it up, but we'll try it. While that's highlighted, I want to go to Edit, and I'm going to click Copy. I could have right-clicked on the screen and then click Copy, but it's going to copy only what's highlighted in the red. Now I'm going to go back to the original mounting bracket, click on Open, and we called it, if you look on the right side here, you can see whatever you're clicking on. Of course, I got a bunch of stuff saved here. X-axis mount. There's the original drawing we did, so we're going to open that back up. Now, I'm going to click right on the screen. I'm going to right-click, and it brought, I should have had to right-click and then click Paste. I double-clicked and it brought it in anyway. So now I can grab this and go to Move It, and we know that it actually lines up with the center. The center of this bearing has to line up with the center of the ball screw. So by dropping it into location now, I've located the 4 bolt holes with our mounting plate that we've already drawn. So I no longer need this circle because that was just representing where the bearing was in the original drawing of the mounting plate, so we can delete that out. So this is basically the complete plate that bolts to the end of the x-axis, the table, and I can now save this, and I'm gonna resave it with its original name because all I did was finish the actual drawing, but I don't like the looks of it. That would work and it would function, but it's not very pretty. So what we can do now is select the outside square. Since that is a group, you can see it lit the whole thing up. Let's take that line and let's ungroup it so we can select sections. It'll automatically pick up one line. By holding the control key, we can pick whatever lines we want to work with. And I want to work with this line, the right side 2 lines on the opposite side. And what I want to do is add a radius here to make this look better. So I'm going to go to the top and go to Tools, go to Line. I'm going to pick Corner, and make sure it's on round up at the top, and I'm going to put a 1/2 inch radius on this, 0.5, and instead of having this sharp inside corner, uh, I'm going to put a 1/2 inch radius on it. So click OK, and it put a radius on there, makes it look a lot better. Now, even this on the bottom section here, these 4 corners up at the top, uh, we're going to have some other plates bolting to this. So these 4 corners on the top I'm not so much worried about right now, but the bottom corners down here, let's clean them up too. So we're going to take Control again, and we're going to click on the bottom line, this next square line intersecting it, this next square line intersecting it. Once again, we're going to go to Line, we're going to go to Corner. I only want an 1/8 inch radius on this, just something to break up the corner, so 0.125, and click OK, and then we smooth that out. So that's a lot better looking. Clean the part up a little bit, and once again we're just going to click Save. Now once I've saved this part is not actually ready to be machined at the state it is right now, because it's going to have 2 standoffs that hold the stepper motor mount away from this plate, and the stepper motor mount that's being held away from the plate has going to have 2 bolt holes added to this for each side for the standoffs that are also going to go through the stepper motor mounting plate. So at this point in time, I want to show you another feature, is you can open multiple Emachineshop on the computer at the same time, and I have another one down here at the bottom. And what I need to bring in here now is an actual NEMA 34 stepper motor mount. So I've got one already opened in the other Emachineshop, and I want to select this picture right here, and I want to right click and copy. Now, it's not exactly the right shape. This came out of a drawing for another mill conversion. But I'm going to, okay, by using the scroll button, I'm going to scroll out here and move over to another location, and then click Paste and drop that mount on the screen. Okay, while it's highlighted, I can just use the arrow key and move it over, or I can drag, I'm going to go up to the top and hit Edit Undo. If you see that line, that part of our drawing moved on me here. Hang on just a second. Let's just grab all of this. I kind of screwed up by dropping it in on top of the other one. I'm going to zoom out again, and I'm going to grab this and just pull it, take the whole thing out of here. And if you see, it picked up a line off the end of our original part. That was what the mistake was. I want to take this and put it back over here. Okay, no harm done. I should have grouped this first so I didn't mess with it and change it anyway. So we're just going to go up to Line. I selected it all by holding down the left mouse button, and we group it. Okay, now if I select on any part of it, I get it all. This is the actual NEMA 34 stepper motor mount, but this particular mount was off another machine, and it's got 2 extra bolt holes here that we're not going to use. So in this drawing, I want to just delete these off. Delete it off here. I don't need, that line's grouped, so we're going to take this line, ungroup it so I can select pieces of it and delete them. I can hold down my, click off screen so nothing's highlighted, hold down my control key, select each one of the individual lines while holding down the control key that I want to delete, and delete these out. Now I can just put the line back across the bottom, and that's an actual NEMA 34 motor mount. I'm going to, by holding my left mouse button down, select everything on the screen, take this whole item and group it together so that if the group of lines has multiple edge settings, default edging settings, drill, Cancel. Let's see what we got. Okay, let's group it together this way. A lot of this stuff will pop up because it's Emachineshop telling you for their machine shop to do this, it's going to cost extra this way or it's going to cost extra that way. What we're really wanting to find out here is just where these bolt hole locations are so we don't end up with interference trying to bolt this plate to the front of that one. So I'm going to take line and group again. Use the most common setting. Okay. There's a lot I don't know about the software myself. It really does so much. It's not cluttered up all over the screen, but there are things in here it does. Alright, so this is now grouped together that if I go to move it, it's not going to fall apart on me. And what I want to do is, first off, let's bring this one a little closer to the center of the screen. This is how the motor is actually going to mount. So, and we know its center hole has to line up with the center hole. Oops. It's fussing with me. I'm going to drop it there and then just use my arrow key to gradually move it up until it highlights. It's snapped to the line below. Okay, it's not highlighting for me. Alright, it wants to give me a problem. So let's move it back over. And just for the heck of it, we're going to draw an X on it. From corner to corner. Once again, from corner to corner. Then we're going to grab the whole thing again and see if this doesn't help us get it to move into location. I want to locate its center hole with the center hole on this drawing. And there it is. And it's kind of hard to see it snap into location. To verify this, what I need to do is delete these lines back off. And let's see, let me think for just a second. Should have the same distance here. That line is 0.325 long. That line is 0.325 long. That line is 0.325 long. Okay, I just used those to measure to make sure I actually did drop it in the center. Hit escape. While that line's selected, I'll go ahead and delete it. Select this line, delete it. This line, delete it. This line, delete it. Alright. Now I've got my motor mount overlapping my table mount. And I can use this to locate where I'm actually going to put the bolts that are going to be the standoffs to hold this into position. As you can see, the area here is going to be kind of close. These are going to be tapped holes right here that are the bolts that bolt the motor to this outer plate. So what I want to do, I'm going to need to place a bolt for the standoff here and up here somewhere in this section. So what I want to do is reselect this and ungroup it. Line, ungroup. Like I said, once again, just remember I'm using this as a reference. Then I want to draw a box that is from here up through the top here. Let me escape and do it a different way. Let me just draw two lines straight up. Draw a line up here, straight up. Tell it that it's 90 degrees. I don't care about the length. Draw another line on the other end. I really don't have a lot of room for these bolt holes in here. They'll have to be counterbored so they don't interfere with the motor and everything. So we're just going to draw the two lines. This one here, I got to make it straight up and down. 90 again, hit enter. Alright, now just click on the screen so nothing's highlighted. Hold down the control key and pick the individual lines you want to delete, which would be these three. Oh, that was wrong. Edit, undo. I'm no wizard. The only line I want to delete. Oh, I haven't intersected them. Duh. Okay, select them all. Hold down the control key and get this top line because I need an intersect on it. Okay, then click line, intersect. Now we can actually take out the little line up here. We'll delete it. The little line here. We'll delete it. This line here. Now that gives us a better idea where these bolt holes are going to be. This circle here is actually a circle that the face of the motor has a seat that it sits down into to center it. These bolt holes will actually be counterbored down in below that, and you use a short screw to do this. So let's let's measure the width of this, and since it's 1/2 inch material I'm using, we'll deduct a 1/2 inch to find out. I'll show you real quick. Okay, my total length is 3.5, so I want to deduct the 1/2 inch, so I move the bolt holes in 1/4 so they're centered up on the actual. So I stutter. Hang on. So it's 3.5 wide. I want a 3-inch box for a bolt hole pattern. So I'm going to click off screen and then re-click that line and delete it. I want a 3-inch box. Don't matter where I put it right now. And it has to fit. If you're looking at the lower plate, this bolt hole pattern has to fit in here. So we're got plenty of room to counterbore and everything else. So I'll bring it up like that. Okay, here's my box. We're going to say it's 3 inches wide. And let's try 2 inches tall. 2 inches tall is way too much. 1.5. Let me try this. These are going to be 1/4 bolt holes. I picked up that. I just want this square. Okay. I want to move this square to where it's centered first. Well, once again, it grabbed that bolt hole. I just want the square. I'm going to say line on group. Keeps trying to bring them all. You got to bear with me. A lot of this is stuff I don't know. I want to actually grab this square and regroup it, and then center it up and move it down. It's for locating the bolt holes for the standoffs. So we're going to line and group. I'm going to grab it, and it still wants to grab that frickin' thing. Alright. I'm holding down a control key and deselecting all the extra items. It's trying to pick up. We've got a part on a part here, and that's what's causing my problem. It's not going to let me do it. Alright. Let's get rid of some of the clutter from the actual mount. I just need the 4 bolt holes that the motor bolts through. I just need this center hole. I can put this 3/4 inch hole back later, so I'll delete it for right now. And then I want to grab this, move it down. Yeah. Gonna undo again. Bear with me just a minute. I'm going to pause this and see what. Okay, I think I figured out what was going on. Now that I've got a general idea where this is going to be located and this outside motor mount, I made it the same height as the table, the mount that goes on the table. I'm just going to go ahead and select all these because they're all going to line up off the center hole anyway, and just get them out of the picture. So I'm going to hold down the control key and select all the original pieces for this. And it might leave an opening on the top up there, but that's alright. I'm going to, just by clicking on each individual part, reassemble this stepper motor mount. And let's see, I got 2 more bolt holes here. Okay, that is the actual stepper motor mount. So now while that's selected, I'm going to zoom out and remove it back over to the side. I don't need it anymore. I was needing just to see how I'm going to space these bolt holes, and hopefully it'll make sense in a minute. So I'm just going to grab all this and take it out of here. And of course, once again, it took way more than it should have, so I'm going to hold down control key, pick these pieces back up right here. And like I said, I knew there was only one line at the top, put that part back, and I knew there was only one line at the top. So we're going to move this back down. I'm going to put the line back up on the top. It ended up over here, so I'm just going to put it back over here. I know that the center hole is 2 inches down from the center of the top, so that's fine. I can put that back, whatever that is. We'll go to put the angle, 270. A lot of this is my learning curve. Okay, so that put that back to where it belongs. Now, what I'm looking at is to center these bolt holes up here to where they're lined and won't interfere with anything else. So that I took it to the top, let it snap to the center, and that while it's still selected, if you look right here, this is how far it will move. This box up the top is how far it will move each time you hit the arrow key to move it in a direction. I'm going to tell it to move it 0.250. Don't want to forget to change this back or it gets confusing. And just have it drop the box down. Now I'm done. I can then delete this. Nope, don't want to delete the line yet. I want to grab this circle. That's our original shaft. Bring it back over and drop it in. Delete this line out. Alright. And these are the bolt holes for the standoffs, and it's going to be 4/4 inch. I already have 1/4 inch bolt holes right here. Now those are ready to be tapped. So let's draw 4 bolt holes. I was going to just copy them, but okay. So the diameter is 0.250. Going to hit enter. Hit Control D to duplicate it. 1, 2, 3 more copies. I'm going to drop these copies right here. here, here, here. Alright. Now I want to draw a line so I can locate this same thing from here to here. Now hopefully when I pick it up this time I don't get too much garbage. So here's our actual motor mount. Oh, I got my 4 bolt bearing mount bolt holes. They don't belong over here. So control, grab these. I know these 4 line up with the center of the center hole. Grab them. They actually should snap into place right. Okay. Drop them here. Draw a line through them. I'm just trying to get it to snap back into place. Reselect them all. Grab them. And they line up right there. Drop them. Take the line back out. Alright, I don't no longer need this block. Let's use it. Okay, no, I don't need that block anymore, but what I want to do is I want to use it over here to drill these same 4 bolt holes in the motor mount plate. So we're going to hold down control, select the box, select the small line that I drew in, and then I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to copy it, see if that helps. Right click and paste. Where to put it? I made another copy of it. Now I can drop this down right here. Let it go. And get bumped around. Alright. So that I can take now and duplicate this. Hold down the control key, hit duplicate again, make 2, 3, 4 copies this time. I'll get these, take them, and these are the 4 bolt holes for the standoffs coming from the other direction. First, so they don't have any interference, they'll all be drilled in counterboard. But this is just locating them onto the drawing. So there's the 4 standoff bolt holes over here in Illinois. Now I want to select all the extra lines. Okay, as you can see, when these are counterboard, they're going to have to go deeper than the circle because that's the alignment hole for the actual thing. But you can see this. I'll show you how you do this in D2 and C because we do have overlapping lines. But this is our 2 pieces and our bolt holes for our standoffs. So we're going to save this as a different name now. File, save as, X-axis mount, mounting parts, and we'll save it. Okay, now that we've got it saved, we can't work with this until we've actually converted it to a DXF file. Everything's on here we need to locate the machine functions that we got to do to it, the CNC part of what we're going to do to this. The only other thing I do see that I'd like to do is on the bottom here, the actual motor on the corners of the motor, it has a radius. Just to break off the sharp edges here, I'm going to hold the control key and select all these lines here. as you can see, they're not regrouped, and I'm going to group them. So I'm going to say line, group, and I got rid of all the little pieces. Then while I've got it, I'm going to go to line, corner. I'm going to put an 1/8 inch radius on the outside of this just so it looks better. I want to do the outside corners, and click OK, and then try to figure out why it didn't do it. Click on it again, go to line, go to corner, oh, there it went. Alright, so now I'm just kind of cleaned it up, made it a little smoother, no square corners, so when it cuts it out it looks better. I'm going to go ahead and pause it at this point right after I show you that we're going to go to File, and now we have to export this file as a DXF. Look down here, make sure it does actually say DXF. It automatically brings in the same name that you named it in an Emachineshop file as. That's what I accept as the default, and then I'll export that file. So now we have a DXF file to work with in D2 and C. So I'm going to close Emachineshop and go ahead and stop recording for right now.